Welcome back to DIVEBOMB IndyCar Podcast, to another bonus episode this week. We are filling them up plenty in the off-season, and we're joined by Andretti Indy NXT driver Max Taylor. Max, welcome to the show. How have you been?
Thank you so much for having me. I've been pretty great, enjoying the start of the off-season now, just hanging out.
And you've done a lot of testing so far this off-season, but away from the track, have you got up to much thus far?
No, not too much. Going to the F1 race this weekend in Vegas. But yeah, mostly just homework, chilling at home and doing a bunch of homework. So, yeah.
And as we said earlier, moving to Andretti in Indy NXT for 2026, obviously did a part-time schedule last year. How does it feel joining such a major organisation ahead of next year?
Oh, I mean, it feels amazing. I mean, working with these guys has been absolutely incredible. The pedigree that this team has is really, really impressive, and I can see why the work ethic and just how smart these guys are. My engineers, the team managers, even the mechanics. You know, it's really such a privilege and an honor to be a part of this team. I'm very excited for next year for sure.
And how did the opportunity to actually race with Andretti next year come about? When did those talks kind of start to make a move there? And how did that all progress for you?
Yeah, so honestly, this past year, it hasn't been too great. Like in pro, I struggled, just didn't have a great year. A lot of things didn't go our way. And the next stuff, it was a lot of flashes of really good performances. But yeah, the talk started quite early on in the season. I know JF Thorman, who's I don't know technically his exact title position at Andretti, but he's quite high up in there, and he'd been watching me for a year or two now, and he came to me at the beginning of the year and said we should get talking about 2026, you know. So but yeah, that was really how it went down, yeah.
And as you said, last year you did a split program, which included Indy NXT of H&D Motorsports for 6 races. So what was the thinking behind participating in multiple series last season, trying to get that first taste of Indy NXT, even if it wasn't for a full schedule?
Yeah, absolutely. I've kind of done it my whole career a little bit. Like in 2024, I did a full season of both USF Juniors and USF 2000. And even the year before that, I was doing some races in 2000. I think it's all just to kind of maximize the time and the time that I get, because I started racing quite a bit later than a lot of other drivers. My first time in a go-kart was at 13, which is still pretty young, but compared to a lot of these guys is old. So we just kind of tried to maximize the time that I had in a seat or in a race car, you know, the seat time. But yeah, the opportunity from H&D this past year was really, really great to get a lot of experience and kind of show what I'm capable of. But yeah, it was really great.
I mean, that's only 5 years ago, really, that you properly started racing. So I guess, when did you realize that you were kind of cut out for this and you wanted to do this?
Yeah, I mean, it started off just as a hobby, you know, like I'd go to the indoor go-karting with my dad. I think like half a dozen of my birthday parties there at one of the indoor karting places. But then, yeah, it quickly turned into something that I happen to be pretty good at, and it was really just fueled by my passion for it. I love it so much. I love racing, and that's really what's fueled me this whole way. But yeah, it quickly turned into something that was a hobby, and then to something that was really, really serious, where I had to, you know, start doing online school because of it and start making a lot of these sacrifices. But yeah, it quickly turned into something pretty big, and but yeah.
I mean, you mentioned like this year wasn't the first time you've done those split programs. You've had kind of pretty packed seasons since you started in single seaters. So why was that the approach you felt you wanted to take? And I guess, how have you found kind of switching between different series every year? What's that been like?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the best learning experience that you can get. You know, the seat time is so important. Just getting the laps in a race car is just so important, especially when you're first starting out. So that's what we saw from a lot of other people that we asked, just seat time, man. Like that's what can help you a lot. And yeah, I'm fortunate enough that I'm in the position that I get to do this, and I get to race these series, and yeah, just taking advantage of that and making it, like, you know, to its full extent. But yeah, it was massive challenges, honestly. Like in 2024, especially switching in between the USF Juniors and the USF 2000 car was not easy. They're two very different cars, and I'd have to be switching like midweek, and I'd be racing one, and then 10 minutes later I'd be racing the next class. So it was very difficult. It was a big challenge, but I think that's helped me to become a better driver for sure.
Was this always the intention to kind of, I mean, you started juniors in 23, and here you are kind of 26 and you're one step off IndyCar. So was it always the intention to have it like this condensed almost? And yeah, just what went into making it that becoming the case?
Yeah, I mean, not really. Like I said before, I mean, I didn't know I'm gonna be a race car driver. You know, I had no racing family. All this was very, very new to us. So we were kind of just going with the flow, seeing what opportunities came up based on. It was all based on how I did. You know, if I didn't perform well enough, I wouldn't be where I am here today. So it was based off of the results and the performance, and like, yes, we have the capability to do it, but am I ready for it as well? So yeah, that was mostly it. But yeah, I didn't know that I was gonna be in Indy next with Andretti. Definitely not. You know, it was not in the plan. I mean, it was definitely a dream of mine. But yeah, pretty unexpected looking back on it for sure.
And is there anything in particular you can kind of put your finger on and say, yeah, this really allowed me to be such a fast learner and to kind of so successfully be competitive in all these different things?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was honestly thanks to VRD. It was the team that I've been with these past few years, and they've been amazing to me. They've taught me so much. They're such incredibly hardworking and smart people, and people that I've really become really close to, like Dan Mitchell and Jacob Loomis especially. They're kind of, Dan's like the owner of the team, and Jacob is a head engineer there. That I've worked with them very closely, and they're a massive part of my career and making me the driver and as well sort of the person I am today.
And heading into next season, as we said, you've got 6 Indy NXT races already under your belt. You're not going to be competing for Rookie of the Year, but how important is it to have that prior experience as you approach your first full season?
Yeah, no, for sure. It's massive. I mean, you look at another driver coming up from pro, Max Garcia, where he was very good this year. He drove very well, but he's been not super quick in the Indy NXT car, and you know, I think that comes down to me having the experience and that leg up on him. I think that's going to be like very beneficiary for this year, knowing some of the tracks and just how this car works. And yeah, I think it's going to be really huge for this year to push for a title, hopefully.
And how do you reflect on those couple of races you did last year? Was the series more challenging than maybe you expected? And just overall, how pleased were you with how you performed and sort of showed yourself in an audition in those couple of races?
Yeah, I mean, we came into it with really no expectations other than just to learn and prepare for 2026. That was the main goal. But yeah, I showed a lot of what I'm capable of. I think at Barber, I was competing for pole position with Hauger until I stuck it in the gravel trap. And then at Detroit, I qualified 3rd, then got taken out on lap 1. And then at the end of the year, I finished 4th in Laguna, just shy of the podium. And even on the ovals, I came back from pretty far into the top 10. So there's a lot of kind of showing what I'm capable of and a lot of learning for sure. But it was definitely very good partial season.
And I mean, it's pretty unique that you raced in and won juniors in 24, and then I guess within months you're driving and racing in Indy NXT. So
yeah.
I know you've raced everything kind of in between there as well. But how do you explain the differences in feeling between the juniors car and the Indy NXT car within that short time frame? That's a big jump to make.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember about this time last year, or maybe a few months ago, like this time last year, so August, October, I just won the USF Juniors Championship, gonna do pro the following year, and then I had the opportunity to test the Indy NXT car at Barber, and the only car that I'd been at Barber in was the juniors car, so it was a really massive, big step up. Going from the juniors to the Indy NXT, and even from the 2000 or even the pro to the Indy NXT car, it's such a massive jump up. Like compared to the pro, the Indy NXT car has almost double the horsepower. It's so much more downforce, and it's a massive step. But I think coming back to it, like I think VRD prepared me very well. I did a bunch of testing and racing in GB3, which helped me a lot to just prepare for that next step up.
Yeah, I wanted to pick up on that as well. You've obviously done one round in the last couple of years in GB3 over here. So why did you decide to do that? Like, what was the thinking there? And was that ever with any intention to actually move to Europe, or was it purely kind of a training thing almost?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely started off as the training. I did a full off-season schedule in end of 2023, traveling to Spain, Austria, Italy, testing all these really, really cool tracks, which is, I think it helps me a lot coming into the next car and into the pro car to understand how a downforce car works. And there were definitely times, especially last year, where we were considering going to that F1 route, starting maybe in GB3. But it can just be so difficult, especially for an American to go over there. And this stuff, everything was going so well in America here. So for now, we're staying in America, but it was definitely on our minds for sure.
Just continuing on from that, we do see some drivers from America choose down to go to the European ladder straight away as soon as they come out from karting, instead of going on to the road to Indy ladder. So how would you weigh up those options when you're early on in your career, and ultimately why do drivers like yourself prefer to go onto the road to Indy ladder as opposed to the European route? Yeah,
I mean, I think I was so new to this whole motorsport world that I didn't really know how everything worked about F1 and IndyCar, and I had the opportunity to race USF juniors, so we took that. And as well, the budgets over there in Europe are much higher than here in the US, and what the road to Indy offers is really incredible, where if you win the championship, they give you a massive help in budget for the next year. It pays for half to almost the whole season. So it's really incredible what the Road to Indy USF Pro Championships system does here. So that was something that definitely was the reason that we chose here.
And obviously, for going back on Indy Next, we've seen you do a couple of tests already. Obviously, the most recent one at Barber, which saw you top the times by quite a margin in the end in a very stacked field. So how do you reflect on such a successful test for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's a bit unexpected. I knew coming into these preseason tests, I guess, at Indy and Barber, that we're going to be quite good with Andretti in the 28 car. Very, very competitive package. But yeah, I mean, it really has been really, really strong. I mean, I was P1 in the morning at Indy, then P2 in the afternoon, and then now P1 at Barber by a good margin. It's been really good. I mean, I don't think much has changed though. Just I've been driving the same as I have. It's just we have the package now all set together, and it's been really great working with these Andretti guys. And like you said, this field is really, really stacked for next year. Multiple guys from Europe, F2, F3 coming over, very experienced drivers from Indy Next, and it's gonna be one to watch for next year for sure.
And obviously you did that test at Indianapolis a few weeks ago as well, but obviously Barber was a track you've been to and raced that car in before. So was that familiarity with the car really sort of what helped you in that session?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's showing that what we did this past year in 2025 is helping us and going to help us for next year. I did the preseason test at Barber last year and the race. And then I went out and went P1 by quite a margin there, like you said. So it shows that kind of our plan is working, so it's good.
And what are the things you kind of feel like you still need to work on heading into next season? Maybe things you picked up on in the testing despite how well it went, or maybe even things that you picked up racing last year?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was literally just on a call with my engineer and the coach from Andretti 20 minutes ago, just to do a debrief on Barber and see what I can work on. Even though it was a very good test and I was P1, we're still working hard to see what I can improve. And yeah, it's just the techniques in this Indy Next car, just figuring it out. Just the more seat time that I get in it, and the more I can figure out the certain techniques that these Andretti guys are teaching me about how to win in this car, which they're obviously very experienced at, with Auger last year and Foster the year before, both winning the championships. So yeah, just taking in everything I can from them and applying it in the testing and next year the races that we get to.
And I think as we speak today, it's 100 days until the St. Pete weekend starts. So do you have any plans kind of the rest of the off season in terms of how you're going to go about whether it's watching footage or any more track time? I know testing's pretty limited.
Yeah, I think it's just mostly about maximizing it. Like we get 2 days at Sebring and then 1 or 2 days at another test before the season starts in St. Pete. So really focusing on maximizing the little track time that we get. And then yeah, besides that, I'll be in a car every now and then. I think in a pro car just to stay fresh. Basically, just make sure I'm not, just to stay fresh really. Since we get such limited testing, and then yeah, doing all the homework on the footage from these past years and the data and all of that. Just making sure I'm doing everything to be fully prepped for 100 days from now.
Just to allow the listeners or any viewers out there to get to know you a little bit better, just tell us a bit about your background. Where did you grow up? What were your interests when you were younger? That sort of thing.
Yeah, I was born and raised in the New York City area. I live in New Jersey now. I started karting when I was about 13 years old, so pretty late start, but I kind of like how I have been in cars. I quickly progressed up, started doing nationals about a year after, and then a year after that started winning in nationals and winning championships. I did the SCUSA, I did USPKS, so just the national level series here in the US, and then moved up to USF Juniors in 2023 with VRD. Had a win in that year, pretty decent first year, learned a lot, and then applied it the next year in 2024, won the USF Juniors Championship, and then got third in USF 2000 as well. But yeah, I mean, really until I was 12, 11, I really didn't know anything about the motorsport world. I barely knew what F1 was or IndyCar or anything like that. So it is pretty incredible for me to look back on that and see how different it was for sure. And I didn't even know, like, I had no idea what racing was then, it's pretty crazy.
So at that stage, how did you get into motorsport? When you did get into motorsport, was it F1, was it IndyCar, was it NASCAR? And then how did you accelerate it in 1 or 2 years to suddenly being karting at a very high level?
Yeah, honestly, believe it or not, it was from Drive to Survive. It was during the pandemic, during COVID. I was just bored, and I always loved cars. My dad has a few cars, and I always loved just seeing and learning about race cars and stuff like that, but never had a real interest in it until, yeah, I guess Drive to Survive. So yeah, I got a real passion into Formula One is where it started. And I found out I could do this go-karting thing at a really high level, at a really competitive level. And I kept on begging my dad. I did the research about what teams there are nearby, what tracks, what series. So yeah, it was really all me kind of feeling it. And I think it kind of shows like it's still the same today, where it's me, my passion fueling me forward to hopefully IndyCar. Yeah. But yeah.
And I know you mentioned it earlier about kind of the sacrifices you've had to make, and I guess you've probably had to make more as well, just because it's been such a kind of fast and condensed period of time that you've done this. So what are some of those sacrifices you'd kind of have to make? And I guess how has that been for you kind of through your teenage years?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of racing drivers or a lot of viewers don't realize sort of the sacrifices that you do have to make. You can't really have a normal childhood where you're traveling over 200 days a year going away. You can't go to a normal school mostly. So yeah, I had to give up. I do online school now, and I don't have a normal childhood where I'm going out like playing with my friends or hanging out or going to parties, stuff like that as much. Everything is about racing, like every second I'm thinking about it. I'm breathing, I'm living racing and being a race car driver. And it's the same for my family as well, where they have to make massive sacrifices, not just the financial side, which is insanely huge, but also how much time and effort it takes to find sponsors and even just scheduling these things, going to the races with me. And it's everyone, my sister, my mom, my dad. But yeah, it really is massive sacrifices. But I have this opportunity to make it. So I'm really grateful for them for pouring everything that they can into this.
And how much schoolwork do you have to do, and how do you kind of balance that, obviously, with all the racing stuff?
Yeah, it's not easy. I mean, I'm in my senior year now, so getting to the end of it. But yeah, I go to online school. I go to Dwight Global. It's like, I think it was just ranked the best online school in the country, in America. So I mean, it's still a very quality and education, which is definitely very important. Something that like I and my parents believe in for sure. But yeah, I mean, it's annoying. Like, you get home from a test or a race, and you want to just relax and get on the game, get on the sim or whatever. But I do have to remember to do my schoolwork and be very, very diligent about that for sure.
Do you have a favorite kind of school subject that you do?
Yeah, I enjoy history a lot. I like history, and my dad likes it as well. So we talk about it every now and then. But yeah, I like history, probably my favorite.
Nice.
You did a few other races last year as part of Indy NXT. Indy NXT is quite different to the rest of the ladder, because obviously the rest of the ladder you race at Lucas Oil, which is a tiny little oval where you don't really get too much over experience. But Indy NXT, you go to places like Nashville. Last year, for example, you went to Iowa, Milwaukee as well. These much higher speed ovals in the lower divisions. So how do you find racing completely different ovals, adapting to that? And is ovals a form of racing you've sort of really enjoyed as you've learned it?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the USF Pro Championships, they have the Lucas Oil Oval, which is, I mean, you do learn the basics of oval racing, but it doesn't compare to some of these big ovals like Iowa, Nashville, Milwaukee, where you really learn how to race and how to set up a car. The oval racing is very, very different. And I think a lot of people don't realize how and respect it, where it's not just turning left and keeping your foot pinned. There's a lot that goes into it, especially on the racing side with the dirty air and the timing. It's very, very difficult and very different to the normal street course or road course. So it's a big challenge and a big learning experience. But for sure, it's a lot of fun, dude. Like, they're sick. They're insane. Like, these ovals, especially in the Indy NXT car, is wild how fast you go and kind of the balls you kind of have to have around them, where you kind of just turn your mind off and keep both foot on the throttle, But yeah, they're a lot of fun for sure.
Does that fearlessness come naturally to you?
Yeah, maybe. I think to be a race car driver, you kind of gotta have a good sense of your fear, like, where you can't be too fearful, or else you're just gonna be slow, So to be a fast race car driver, you kind of gotta know the risk and be smart about it. You can't just, yeah. I mean, you gotta be smart about it, where you obviously don't want to crash and damage your race car and hurt yourself. But yeah, sometimes, like I said, you kind of just gotta shut off that part of your mind and just go all the way.
And looking ahead to next year, do you have any kind of big targets in mind, things that you would like to achieve?
I mean, not really, besides just, winning the championship. That's the goal. We're all working really hard to do it. That's really my only goal is just to win the championship. Yeah, that's what we're working hard for.
Now, just to sort of end off with a few more casual questions, one thing we'd like to ask, both being British, is with your GB3 races, where you would have been over here for some short period of time, how did you find the UK? Any good experiences, any impressions from your short time in the country thus far?
Yeah, no, I loved it. The food is not as bad as people say. There's definitely some good spots. I raced at Donington, the 2 years that I did the one race there, and yeah, I loved my experience here, especially in the GB3 championship. They put on such a good championship and very competitive races. So it was really, really good getting that experience in that championship and being over there in England for sure. I enjoyed it a lot.
Do you remember any of the food you ate at all?
Yeah, I had a really good shepherd's pie from the Falcon Inn in Donington. It was very, very good.
That's a British staple, so I'm glad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
for somebody. And one thing we do also like to ask is, what sports teams do you support, if any, in the US, or even further abroad, if you support any further abroad?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I really only watch racing. So I'm big F1 and IndyCar fan. So obviously big fan of Andretti and IndyCar. And in F1 I really like Max Verstappen, sharing the first name, you know. I really admire him a lot and how he goes about it. So I guess I'm a bit of a Red Bull fan as well. But yeah.
Awesome. Max, that's all we've got for you. Really wish you the best heading into next year. Obviously, a long off season still ahead. We've still got 3.5 months to go. We hope you enjoy your time on the California beach out there. It looks much sunnier than it does over here. So, yeah, best of luck once again, and thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. This was really great.